Hello Exiles, first here, back with the week 2 update to the Flamewood Totem Hierophant. This has the possibility of being the last update, and if so then we may do a more formalized build guide, but this should serve as where we are right now. Any major improvements after this would be mage blood required, so that's quite the big jump. And honestly you don't gain a whole lot more. It's really just corruptions that are going to put more damage on the table, and we're pretty tanky as is, but let's run through it. First and foremost on the gear, we upgraded our helmet again, very similar to the stats we were using before. Life regeneration rate, regular life regeneration, fire resist, which is also life regeneration because of our passives, then as much life as we could shove into it. The increased mana reservation is important here. It allows us to fit all of our skills by the hair on our chinny chin chin. On the weapon, we switched from the Mystic Refractor to the Dark Seer. As I've mentioned before, the damage on these is very comparable, but this just gives us more tankiness. Almost 200 more base life and 200 base energy shield, and then the Malediction has our Sniper's Mark working a little bit over time as well. So this cost us about 2 div, and the helmet a little bit less than 1, so not too pricey on the upgrades yet. You'll notice I'm running 3 rings, we'll come back to that. Enmity's Embrace, I got the best reduced fire resistance I could. At the time of writing, 65 reduced is only a divine, maybe a little bit more, and then make sure to bless orb that implicit as best you can. The rings are where I get the bulk of my resist from. This ring alone is over 80 chaos resistance. This was a nice pickup, and then this one handles all the other elemental resistances as well. Between the two of them I probably spent less than a div and a half. The most expensive part was slamming them for the Crusader Exalt, and I'll get to why I did that a little bit later. We swapped Replica Dragon Fang's Flight for Ashes of the Stars. This is a huge upgrade. I know we're losing some skill levels, but Flamewood Totem, or more specifically Rejuvenation Totems, effect with quality is more totem life. So this more than balanced the life that we lost by losing the skill gems, but then it also helps us with Sniper's Mark and Searing Bond as well. So this was pretty huge. Big fan of this. Right at this point, minimum quality you want is 25, and right now those are only running like 40, 50, maybe 60 C at the worst. The Anoint is the most expensive part of this upgrade. Skin of the Lords, I originally talked about using the one that had both 30% quality and the 50% increased resistances. The problem with that combination is it severely limits what keystones we can get. So I dropped off the quality. I definitely wanted the resistances, and then I sort of make up with that as the +2 to socketed gems makes our enhance gain 2 levels. But either way, I really wanted Eldritch Battery. On the tree, this is saving us 5 skill points not to have to, I guess 4. We should learn to count one day, but 4 skill points not to have to path to it, so that was pretty huge. You can really run it with any inert keystone, anything that's not going to brick your build, but that's just the one that I went with. On the shield, I haven't changed it, still the same as we've run since day 2. This is just a great shield. As much block as possible, as much life as possible, regen, resist, and then the extra totem. I did go with 30 dex now just so that I could hit the dex requirement for enhance without having to invest skill points on the tree, so that's why that looks like that. We updated the gloves, got +2 to level of socketed aura gems. When you are searching for these, there are a couple of options. You don't have to do aura gems. You can do, I just like to go with whichever's cheaper. So right now aura is 15, but AoE, which gives the exact same effect, is only 6. Big difference between those two. And then in a pinch, +1 to socketed gems also works out. If you're using Empower, this is the same as the other two. Right now I'm not using Empower, but if I was going for a full damage setup, I certainly would, which would then make this the same. That's only 4. When I did it, I got the aura skills for 4 divine, but the prices are all over the place, so I suggest just keeping an eye out for whichever one's best for you. Burden of Truth was an interesting change that I did. I think I was using a Stygian Vise before, but this gives us a very large amount of energy shield, and because I'm using the Pious Path jewels, which I'll talk about just a little bit later, I'm regenerating both energy shield and life while I'm standing on my permanent consecrated ground, which allows me to use mind over matter. So I wanted to get something that was buffing that up, and then as an added little effect, Supreme Decadence allows my flask to apply to mind over matter as well, so that's nice. I almost never, and I mean like days apart, have to press this flask button for anything, but it is nice to know that if I have to, it'll help out both of those. Big change on the boots. We went with Annihilation's approach versus some rares. This whole time I've been sitting here, I've been sustaining Annihilation's approach, or the Approaching Flames buff, which gives us adrenaline. And adrenaline is huge. It gives us 100% increased damage, some attack speed, which helps with shield charge, movement speed, which is, movement speed, and then physical damage reduction, which is the resist that I struggle with the most, is physical hits. So this was a good pickup. You can get it corrupted with +1 endurance charges, which I may do at some point, but it's a pricey upgrade for only another 4% PDR and 4% elemental reduction. But once money is way less of an issue, this would be the next upgrade that I need. Looking at the jewels, starting off with the unique ones, still running the Replica Reckless Defense. So sorry. This gives me 77 block, 75 spell block. This was the cheapest way to cap these out, so I wanted to make sure to take care of that. My forbidden gems are for Pious Path. Now this is the Inquisitor notable that makes, it doesn't show you, but it makes your life regen apply to your energy shield while you're standing on consecrated ground. And so I wanted to get permanent consecrated ground as well, but for those jewels, you're looking at, what, 60C, 70C for the pair. So this is a really cost-effective upgrade, and it's a huge boost to effective hit points. Something like 20-25% once we include the Frost Shield. So it was big. In order to make this work, you would need Rational Doctrine, right? And these are not inexpensive. If you have strength as your highest attribute, you have consecrated ground around you while you're stationary, and then it lingers for 4 seconds. Those forbidden jewels also have this lingering effect, so that's not as important as just having the permanent consecrated ground. But as you can see, these are 8, 9 divine, and they've added a cheaper way for us to take care of this. Enter Bound by Fate. So if I have 2 Crusader items on, I get consecrated ground around us while we're stationary. And like we mentioned, Pious Path is already applying that to the energy shield. These are 5 chaos. There is a big difference between 5 chaos and I mean, there is a lot of supply, right? There's a big difference between 5 chaos and 9, 10 divine. So I went with this instead. That's why both of my rings have Crusader influence. I just bought rings. One of the rings had an open prefix, this one, and I just slammed it. The other one I had the YOLO annul, and luckily I just removed energy shield or something like that and then was able to slam it. I don't care what I get, I just want the Crusader influence. Then I've got a couple of rare jewels to finish us up, cap off my chaos resist, give myself some more life, and then deal with resistances as well. If all that's taken care of, this was a lucky ball orb if I've ever seen one. All those are taken care of, you can get some more totem life or totem damage. While we're on the tree, let's talk about the Ascendancies. Almost every Hierophant totem build since the beginning of forever has taken these same nodes. An extra totem, more duration, more cast speed, or more placement speed, life regen per totem, damage per totem, straightforward. Arcane Blessing, we get more spell damage while we have Arcane Surge, and then we'll basically always have Arcane Surge. And then of course we scale the shit out of our Arcane Surge using Wood, Stone, and Spell, and stacking all of the totems both the flame link totems or searing bond totems and our rejuvenation totems. There's 14 totems down here, so there is a lot of arcane surge effect. The problem is the 4th ascendancy is kind of meh. This one gives us endurance charges and power charges. If you're playing a crit base, the power charges are great, but we don't really care about crit. 4 minimum endurance charges is huge, but if I could find a way to deal with endurance charge gain, then this becomes a useless ascendancy. Enter the graphs. One of these graphs gives endurance charge when you're hit, and something I didn't realize when I was originally planning this build is Enmity's Embrace is hitting us every time we cast the spell. So in addition to stacking endurance charges when we're hit by monsters, we can stack them passively ourselves by using any of our skills. So that took care of that, and that graph also has a little bit more PDR, which was nice. The left graph is just putting down these flame spires, which cover things in ash, which is a pretty huge damage boost, 20% increased damage taken. But since I've solved the endurance charge, I had an extra ascendancy. I went with the one no one's using, the nameless ascendancy, which we get from killing the guy in the Wildwood. I forget his name currently, sorry about that. But I disabled my utility flask. I don't like pressing extra buttons. Obviously I would get rid of this once we got access to Mage Blood, but I disabled my utility flask to gain the extra ring slot. So that was super cool. The other changes to the tree, pretty straightforward. Cut a lot of damage that I was using before to add some survivability. Our POB has a pretty heavy damage number on it, so I didn't really feel the need to gain any more. In fact, I'd still be comfortable losing some. And this 272 is still including using item rarity. I mean, within power, we're damn near to 400, so there's really no need to put any more damage. So I just made some adjustments to gain survivability, stack some endurance charges, get all the life nodes I can, make sure that my block is capped, and then add as much life and energy shield as I could. So tree is very straightforward. Even the cluster jewel is just fire resist and life. That's all I was trying to do here, and give myself access to some more jewels. So the tree update is, you know, pretty whatever. We did take the reservation mastery because we lost reservation when we went from Replica Dragonflame's Flight to Ashes of the Stars. So this is how I dealt with that. Looking at the skill gems, and they are kind of all over the place, but I'm going to try to be as neat and tidy when presenting them as possible. I used Arrogance with Vitality, a level 1 Vitality, just to reserve the smallest bit of life to give myself +1 to all max res. And then my defensive reservation skills, I've got Tempest Shield, we've got Purity of Fire, I've got Stone Golem, which is linked to cast when damage taken. And of course, he's giving me 20% increased defenses. He dies a lot, but he's casted constantly, so, you know, plus and minus. We also have Purity of Elements in here, and then Flesh and Stone. We have Automation with Steel Skin, helps us remove bleed, and then just gives us a nice little extra shield. I even put a microtransaction on it to make it invisible because I didn't enjoy the flashing, but it is useful. Shield Charge with faster attacks. This helps us get around and delve, and then applies the graph skill for increased fire damage taken. I have cast when damage taken right here, linked to Frost Shield, and this is huge. This Frost Shield drains your energy shield, but our energy shield regen is, you know, 2 of our total energy shield pulls per second, so this stays up pretty regularly. POB doesn't calculate it, so it's not giving us an inflated number, but I have it up all the time while I'm in Delve or doing Harvest or whatever, so that's super cool. On the damage skills, the gloves are unchanged. It's still Rejuvenation Totem, Flamewood supports multiple totems, and then item rarity. Like I said, this can be in power or a concentrated effect or something along those lines. I would suggest Empower, but then you have to off color your black zeniths, corrupted black zeniths. It's fine. And if damage is what you're looking for, that's the way to do it. Then I have cast when damage taken, the same one as before, linked to Sniper's Mark. I have it at level 8 because this is the highest I believe that I can do with my current dex configuration. But it has such obscene quality that it's still giving us 42% increased damage taken. So that's, you know, nice. And then Searing Bond with the final modifications we made to enhance in Ashes of Stars. We hold 8 of these. And those 8 Searing Bonds, along with the Rejuvenation Totems to begin with, are really accountable for like 45% more damage and 25% more recovery. And last but not least, we've got Shock through our Tempest Shield, wherever it is. Again, we're getting so much quality that, oh, I should really quality this one myself. But that extra 20, yeah, it'll be 90+% shock chance. So, and I'll take care of that here in a second. Let's just take that off. So those are really the upgrades as they stand. The only future upgrades that I would look to make in this build as it is Mage Blood, like I said, a double corrupt on the gloves, corrupt on the boots, and then beyond that, we're pretty stacked, boys and girls. So I appreciate you tuning in, and yeah, I'll see you on the next one.